Tonight's forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms. In Alamogordo, expect a low of 70, Cloudcroft a low of 55. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, becoming partly cloudy with a 30% chance of rain, mainly in the afternoon. Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 93, low of 68, Cloudcroft high of 80, low of 53.
This is the Roundup on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Going from the Tularosa Basin and beyond, this is your local connection to the world of sports. From high school to college and to the pros, we cover the latest news and the biggest stories. Don't forget, this is your show. Change the topic anytime. Call us at 437-1230. The Roundup starts right now.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome into the show, 437-1230. If you want to call into the Roundup today, got a decent amount of high school sports to recap from yesterday. And we'll have Alamogordo Tigers head football coach AJ Cisco on a little bit later today as well, probably around 2:30. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to what should be a fun rest of the week. Got a lot going on. A couple soccer tournaments, some more volleyball, volleyball tournaments, lots of football Friday and Saturday. Do we have any Saturday football? Yeah, we've got Cloudcroft Saturday this weekend. So, and cross country for Alamo gets started this weekend. So, yeah, there's a decent amount to check in on for sure. And we'll get to all that good stuff as we head throughout the program today. But anything you'd like to talk about, 437-1230. Kind of surprising trade in the NFL, at least the destination, I think, was the surprise to me. Thinking, I guess looking to sports from last night, Alamogordo, I was at girls soccer last night. Girls lost 3-1 to a good Carlsbad side. That being said, I think Alamo had their chances. I think Carlsbad probably had a few more chances to get one in the back of the net. 3-1 was the final score last night over at Reiner Steinhoff Soccerplex, but I think Almo's going to feel like they had a chance to at least, tie that game. Maybe even if they play a little better, have a chance to win it. Certainly weren't in any way overmatched last night. I think Carlsbad probably played the better of the two sides. I mean, clearly a 3-1. But sometimes you have a game where somebody wins and the other side, soccer especially, where one side has clearly played the better of the two, but yet just hasn't been able to finish. And I wouldn't say that was the case last night. I think Carlsbad gave themselves a few better chances, but overall, pretty even matchup, and Alamo just unfortunately came up a little bit empty on it. So 3-1 the final. They'll get Lovington on Thursday. A little bit of an easier matchup, I think, than Carlsbad. That being said, that doesn't mean it's one that they're going to go out there and dominate. I know they played really well against Lovington 2-1. I think the Alamo coaches were a little bit happier with the second half, even though they didn't get a goal in the back of the net. So it'll be, I'm sure, refocusing on practice today and see what they got tomorrow. It's a busy week for them. They've got Lovington tomorrow, and then they start the Las Cruces tournament on Friday. So it's definitely going to be challenging for them here early in the season. And Alamogordo volleyball, four sets winner over Chaparral. Lost the first set, 17-25, and then came back and won the second set by the same score. Big third set win, 26-24, and then kind of cruised the last set, 25-16. So Alamo's gotten off to a good start this year, 2-0, beat a former district opponent who's been, I feel like, challenging for them in the last couple of years. And I think the season started off the way that I would believe they hoped it would. Beating Ruidoso, beat Chaparral. I think Valencia is another one that they can certainly have as well. And, this is a key, I think, for Alamogordo volleyball is, I don't know if there's been as much of this in recent years of, winning the games or matches that you should win. I don't know if there's been a lot of cases of a should-win case for Alamogordo because they had been struggling and been trying to find themselves a little bit. So you're starting to have that discussion about Alamogordo volleyball in terms of matches that you feel like, yeah, they should win this. So good start to the year. Again, they'll have a tournament next week, I think, is the Las Cruces tournament for them. And so district's just around the corner, and I've talked plenty about how challenging that district is going to be this year with all the Cruces schools being pretty darn good this year. Gadsden's no slouch. And it's going to be a battle from beginning to end of that 12-game series they're going to start playing here in a few weeks. I guess it's not 2 weeks away, it's 3 weeks. They start a little bit later in district than soccer does because they finish a little bit later. So I think it's like a week after, which gives them a little bit more time for some more non-district matchups, which they'll have here in the next few weeks. So we'll obviously be keeping an eye on that, but overall, I would have to feel got to be pretty happy. I mean, 2 of 2 so far to start the season, and we'll see if they can keep that going against Valencia on Thursday. And then Friday they go to Santa Teresa, which will be a tougher. I would say probably the best team that we'll have faced throughout the season. Santa Teresa's been up in Las Cruces playing. I think Mayfield. I think they played Las Cruces High yesterday. They lost in straight sets. I think both those matches. So. They'll be a team that's been tested against those schools, and now Alamogordo will get a chance at them. That's kind of a quick turnaround for them as well, that they'll play that Thursday Valencia and then go on the road on Friday. I think it was initially supposed to be a Saturday game, but they ended up moving it. Good volleyball for pretty much the entire basin or area teams. Thule improved to 2-0. Straight sets win over Capitan, so they're now 2-0 on the season. They'll go to Cloudcroft on Thursday. That's their next matchup of the week, and I think that's it for them this week. And I believe that'll be Cloudcroft season opener coming up on Thursday. And then Mescalero Volleyball, a straight sets win over Dexter, so they improved to 1-1 this season. So they bounce back after a season opening defeat last Thursday to Gateway Christian. So they sit at 1-1. Alamogordo boys soccer. Sorry, I was going through all the home matchups from last night. Alamogordo boys soccer, a 2-1 win on the road last night. Julian Torres had a couple of goals, scored early in the first half. Carlsbad evened it up before halftime, and then I think it looked like about 10 minutes into the second half, Julian scored again. Got assists from Lucas Birch and Junior Barbosa in the victory. And so the Tigers are 4-0, and I can't help but be very impressed. Not necessarily surprised. That there was a small part of me that wondered, coming off the state title last year, playing a pretty good schedule here early against some decent teams, Hobbs and Chaparral. Los Lunas turned out to be pretty good. You knew going to Carlsbad was going to be a challenge for them. Just a little bit of transition. Some guys that were on the team last year, not with the team this year. How much of being able to work with this group in the summer was it gonna, they gonna be able to do fine? And you certainly don't want to say it's been a seamless transition. That there's been some things that they're having to work through right now, but they're winning their matches, and that's that about as much as you can say. They're actually getting off to a better start this year than they did last year. So. Something to be said about this group and how they've managed to fill in those spots, and guys have stepped up, and they've gone a little bit deeper in the bench this year with some of their players. Last year they basically stayed with the 11 that they started with all year long. Very, very rarely made a substitution unless they absolutely had to, injury, things like that. And this year, you probably see them use about 14 or 15 different players out there, and it's kind of interesting that the way that's been a bonus for them this year, and that they've got a little bit more comfort with some of the guys off the bench. So about as good as you can imagine. I'm sure that they're striving for more. I'm sure Coach Wilder is striving for more, but the defending state champs looking good here to begin the season for the Tigers. And back on the road on Friday, I believe they open up against Aztec in the Los Alamos tournament. Let me double check. I know Alamogordo girls open up against Las Cruces High, but that's after the Lovington game. Yeah, Aztec at 11 a.m. up at Los Alamos. If they win that, they would either get Roswell or Valencia. I would imagine Roswell would be my guess out of that. And then on the top side of the bracket, it's Los Alamos, Los Lunas, Clovis, and Goddard. So not sure who you would, if you're Alamogordo, if you're if you're the Tigers, if you're Coach Wilder, who do you want out of that group in the championship if you can get there? I think if anything, just some different matchups is probably, that was the thing about going to the Los Alamos tournament, was not playing the Las Cruces tournament, I think, and getting the same matchups that you would have gotten in district. So just switching things up a little bit. So Aztec, maybe, Valencia, Roswell. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it was in the last couple of years. But Roswell boys soccer, at least in my memory, has always been pretty solid. So yeah, I'll be curious to see who that, if they keep advancing, who they continue to get in that tournament. So be fun to watch. But 4-0 start the season. Pretty good stuff from Alamogordo boys soccer. None of us should really be shocked by it. But like I said, I'll sit here and say that I think impressed is the word. I'm not surprised. I'm just impressed that it's been, they've been pushed in every game. And I think they've answered the call pretty well. That none of the first 4 games have been blowouts. Hobbs game certainly had a chance to be, but they fought back and made it interesting. The Los Lunas was back and forth game. Chaparral was certainly back and forth, and it was a little testy kind of game. And Alamo kept their composure for the most part. And last night a 1-1 match on the road in the second half, and you get a goal and you hold on the rest of the way. So something to be said about the moxie of this group. And again, you would expect for a lot of guys that played on a state title team last year that, playing in close matches, they can find a way to make it work. So, good stuff. And anything else locally for yesterday? I think that's it, right? Boys and girls soccer, the 3 volleyball matches. I think we're good to go. So, nothing today. We do have, I think, C-Team football is playing this afternoon over the football stadium. They host Hot Springs. I think they moved that around. So, and yeah, I'll have to check the rest of the schedules on that. But, well, I'm sure we'll chat with Coach Cisco about it a little bit when he stops by. And tomorrow, Alamo volleyball, Alamo girls soccer, Cloudcroft and Tularosa volleyball. I'm trying to think if Mescalero's got anything tomorrow. Let us see. No, they play Saturday at home against East Mountain. So that's their next matchup. And, of course, all the football coming up over the weekend. So we'll be sure to get into all that stuff as we get a little bit closer to Friday. But excited to have our first Friday night home game and see what the Tigers can do against what will be a very good Los Lunas team. The new coaches poll is out, which, you know what, I'll jump over there right now. I was thinking I was going to save that till a little bit later, but I'm not really sure why I would do that. And again, the coaches poll, I mean, polls are what they are, and you can see in the first polls a lot of first-place votes being spread around. So, you know, there are probably some coaches out there that are voting for themselves. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess. So like in 5A, it's pretty much all Cleveland. But you have a vote for La Cueva, a vote for Cruces, El Dorado, or I should say 6A. So Cleveland's number 1 right now. La Cueva, Cruces, El Dorado, Centennial. And then Clovis, Carlsbad, Volcano Vista, Mayfield, Cibola, rounding out the top 10. In 5A, Artesia's got 1 first-place vote. Belen is just a point behind them. It's really spread out a lot more. You got Los Lunas at 3 with 2 first-place votes. Goddard and Roswell with a first-place vote apiece. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got only 5 coaches returning polls in 5A. Is that right? Whereas you've got 14 doing it in 6A. You know, there's only 7 that returned in 4A. 3A had 13. 14. 2A had 14 coaches return, it looks like. Kind of curious on that on that whole deal. Anyway, so Artesia, Belen, Los Lunas, Goddard, Roswell, Then Valley, Piedra Vista, Farmington, Deming, and Del Norte. Alamogordo is actually 11, tied with the Capital. They're at the top list of teams that are receiving votes. So, not necessarily a bad thing for the Tigers there. But the 3A poll has got Robertson number 1, West Las Vegas 2, Hope Christian, Hatch Valley, and St. Mike's round out the top 5. Dexter, Socorro, then Tularosa at 8, followed by Raton and Cobre. Cloudcroft comes in at number 9 in the 2A poll and getting a first-place vote. Eunice, number 1, by the way, followed by Fort Sumner, Santa Rosa, Estancia, Escalante, Texaco, Hagerman, Jow, and Capitan is at number 10. Just kind of give you an idea of where everybody's at in that particular poll. So I was going to roll over to the Max Preps poll, which honestly, I this early in the season, either or, pick what you want in terms of who should be where. Certainly not good for Alamogordo. They're sitting 18 of 19 in Class 5A in the Max Preps poll. They've got Los Lunas number 1 there, followed by Artesia, and then Belen, Roswell, who... Did Roswell not play last week? Did they have open in their first weekend? That's interesting. I mean, they might have. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wonder why they did it that way. Well, okie doke. Yeah, they're going to play 10 straight here in the season. I know Alamo did that for the first game. I'm trying to remember what years they were doing that. Was that what they were in the Clovis, Hobbs, Carlsbad district? Might have been before that. Might have been when they were in the Cruces district. But there were a couple years where they took their bye week in the opening weekend, and it drove me crazy. It's just one of those things you're sitting there like, all right, let's get the season started. And then you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs for a little bit. I hated that. Just from a broadcast standpoint. Piedra Vista, Farmington, Deming, Goddard, Santa Teresa, and Miamora are in the top 10 in the 5A rankings in over at Max Preps overall rankings. And you got number 1 there. La Cueva, La Cueva, Cruces, Cleveland, El Dorado, Manzano, the top 5 there. So let's see what they got for 6A. Pretty much same there. Then Centennial, Carlsbad, Rio Rancho, Clovis, and Hobbs in Class 3A. It is, if I push the right buttons, they got Robertson number 1, Hope Christian, Hatch, West Las Vegas, Dexter, Tularosa, Socorro, St. Mike's, Raton, and Hot Springs. So if you take the Max Preps rankings at 6 versus 7 this week between Tule and Socorro, I mean, these are a couple of, I feel like, pretty big matchups for Tule early in the season in that they're playing. I mean, this used to be playing up. Should be pointed out that Hot Springs and Socorro were usually 4A teams the last couple of years, where Tule was 3A, and now these teams are down playing 3A. Same goes for Robertson and Hatch and Hope and West Las Vegas. Dexter and Tule are kind of holdovers from what was the previous Class 3A. Your, I guess, Tucumcari fits in there as well. Nimi, I think, was 3A last year. You look at most of the classification this year, and it's more of what I think of as Class 4A, or what has been 4A the last few years, is now 3A. And some teams that have won state championships as well. At least Robertson, you can say that for as well. So, and then that's the thing. Same thing for Cloudcroft, in that they're playing a lot of 2A teams that were previously 3A teams. So Eunice and Santa Rosa and Estancia and Capitan last year was. Capitan, no, they won the state title 2 years ago. Eunice won it last year, right? I think that's how that went. Anyway, Eunice, who I thought Eunice played and they played a JV last week. Interesting. They don't list it on the schedule there. Anyway, they've got Eunice 0-0 on Max Preps, which again, I'm almost completely certain that they played not the Clovis, but the Hobbs JV, I think, last week. So I don't know why it's not showing up in their schedule, but alas, it isn't. Fort Sumner, Santa Rosa, Estancia, Escalante, Mission Achievement and Success are number 6. Then Cloudcroft, so 6 versus 7 up in Cloudcroft this weekend on the Max Preps polls. They've got Mescalero at 8, then Hagerman and the Newcomb round out the top 10. So there you go. Rankings, as usual, are what they are this time of year. Don't get too attached one way or the other, but got a few teams sitting in the top 10 with Cloudcroft and Tularosa, and we'll see how it goes. All right, let's fit in a commercial break. We'll come back. If you want to call in, 437-1230, more of the roundup for you after this.
Stop by White Sands Motorsports right here in Alamogordo for all your power sport needs. White Sands Motorsports carries Honda, Yamaha, and Roxor. New to the store, Can-Am and Textron side-by-side vehicles. As always, they handle parts and services for all makes and models. For the best power sport deals on 2 or 4 wheels, White Sands Motorsports has got you covered. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9:30 to 5. 21070. In your story, Vision is fully stocked with dozens of the hottest 2018 models, including the Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling truck for 40 years. With financing options that fit every budget and a sales team dedicated to you, Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai continues the Yes We Can tradition. All we need is you. Visit us today at 1500 South White Sands Boulevard or 24/7 online at visionfordlincoln.com. Is your back-to-school list getting a little longer than you expected? OFCU's Visa Platinum Credit Card eases the unexpected. OFCU's Visa Platinum Credit Card gives you an interest-free grace period of at least 25 days on new retail purchases when the balance is paid in full each month. No fees for cash advances at OFCU's ATMs and branches. Back to school with OFCU is as easy as ABC. All loans subject to credit approval. Other restrictions may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. OFCU, 3 branches in Otero County. Call 434-8500. The KNMZ Football Roundtable is back for its 31st season. 5 local business people and their best football prognostications every Friday at 11 a.m. on ESPN Alamogordo. Manny Gonzalez from Charles Garland and Harris Agency. Donna Columbus of First National Bank. Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group. Timothy Brock of Christ Community Church. And Jake Roberts of Caldwell Banker Sudderth Nelson. The KNMZ Football Roundtable, Fridays at 11 a.m. on Southern New Mexico sports leader, ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
Tularosa Basin Telephone Company is famous for keeping you connected. They promise to deliver fast speed, provide a reliable network, and do it all with a smile. Their customer service team is on top of every call with the answers you need. In fact, they believe their customers are the most important part of their business. Give Tularosa Basin Telephone Company a call at 585-2700 for the internet experience you've been waiting for.
Score big with great savings at Justin's Motor Company. Hustle on down to one of Justin's 2 locations. Cars, trucks, SUVs, Jeeps, you name it, Justin's has it. Makes and models to fit any budget and the best customer service in town. One-stop online shopping makes your next car buying experience a breeze. Check out the full inventory, meet the staff, even apply online. All at justinsmotorcompany.com. 2 locations conveniently located on the Holloman Highway or 489-5820, Justin's Motor Company.
We normally like to deliver positive and good news during these kindness moments, but I'm afraid the news today is anything but that. The National Safety Council is reporting that cell phone use while driving is leading to 1.6 million accidents per year. That's 330,000 injuries occurring from texting and driving. And sadly, 11 teenagers a day are being killed as a result. These numbers are not going to take care of themselves. While laws are being implemented and policed, the real solution for these statistics is going to have to come as a result of awareness, which comes as a result of conversation. Make sure your children and students are aware of the hazards of cell phone use when driving. Talk to them about these statistics and encourage, beg, or monitor, whatever it takes, to share the urgency of this danger. Safety of our kids is our #1 objective. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
Support for this program is provided by the Native American Rights Fund, reminding you that sovereignty is not free. Native American Rights Fund has been helping Indian tribes for over 40 years with critical issues such as treaty enforcement, hunting and fishing rights, Indian child welfare, religious freedom, and more. You too can become a modern-day warrior with your support for NARF's work. Learn more at narf.org and join the fight for Native rights.
The Alamogordo Tigers play their home opener Friday night, 7 p.m. versus the Los Lunas Tigers. Pregame starts at 6:45, Tiger Stadium, under the lights, this Friday on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. NMSU football hits the road for the first time this season. It's the Aggies and the Minnesota Golden Gophers on a special Thursday matchup. Pregame at 4 p.m., kickoff at 5 p.m. Thursday on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back. 437-1230. If you'd like to talk on the air, join the show. So the trade that I was kind of surprised by in the NFL was the Jets trading away Teddy Bridgewater. Now, not surprised that they traded him, but, and again, this is sources right now, so I don't know if this is official yet. But trading him to the Saints for a third-round pick, interesting. A lot of people believe Sam Darnold's going to be the starter. Josh McCown is going to be the number 2. Didn't play in the past 2 preseason games, but will be their backup. And McCown had a pretty good season last year, coming up on 40. And, Bridgewater, 25. He's on a 1-year contract, and I have to believe that the Saints are thinking at some point, Drew Brees, who's, will turn 40 in January, there's going to be an end. And I think more than anything else, you got a 40-year-old quarterback. Let's have a better backup quarterback in the ranks. Seems pretty reasonable to me. And I think for Bridgewater, I think he'll be happier with that situation from a standpoint of he's a lot closer to being the guy in New Orleans than he would ever be in New York, because the Jets, they draft a guy in the top 5 that's going to be the direction they're going to go at some point. So I think a trade that kind of makes sense for everybody. It had me surprised when I saw it, but when you have a team that already has an established quarterback, but if Bridgewater can be patient, and he doesn't have to be. I mean, he can, after this year, he can go somewhere else. I'm sure that the Saints will try to lock him up if they can, but that'll obviously be the question mark for them on whether they're trying to re-sign him or not. So it's interesting, I feel like, more than anything else. So we'll see how that works out for the Saints and Bridgewater, and if that's somebody that they're going to try to sign to a long-term contract and say, yeah, you're the guy once Drew decides to retire. But, I mean, honestly, Brees was good last year. We'll see if he can continue to be at a top level. We've seen quarterbacks now, at least the really good ones, you can play a little bit later. We've seen it with Brady. Now, whether Brees can be that same type, I don't know. But, Peyton certainly played pretty late into his career, and we've seen other guys do the same. So it'll be, I guess, the question mark, how long the Saints want to keep going in that direction. I feel like you got to stick with them, right? So, and they made the point that the Saints have never made this kind of investment in a backup quarterback in the Brees, Sean Payton era, which is now 13 years. Even though they almost drafted Patrick Mahomes in 2017, they don't have a lot of salary cap space, and
They already traded away their 2019 first-round draft pick to go and get defensive end Marcus Davenport this year. So they had 2 backups, Tom Savage and Taysom Hill. So this, genuinely, if Breeze does get hurt, it gives them a different direction to go in. So certainly got to be feeling more content, I think, if you're a New Orleans fan after that trade. So we'll see what that looks like going forward if they try to keep him in the fold there. But all right, let's go ahead and transition and bring in Alamogordo High School head football coach A.J. Cisco. Coach, how are you?
What's up, Charles? It's Wednesday, man.
Yeah, it is Wednesday, just a couple days from game day. It is actually kind of a game day today because C-Team's playing today, right?
Yeah, our freshmen up are at Hot Springs High School.
Okay.
Tonight at 4 o'clock. It was a game originally scheduled for Saturday. Shortage of referees up in the Gallup area forced their varsity game to get moved to Saturday, so we had to kind of play with schedule, tinker with it to get this game in for our pups.
Yeah, and you said this is in Tier C, or in Tier C?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know why I thought they were playing that here. So
everybody's been asking me that. Hey, there's game night. No, there's not. It hasn't been on the schedule at all here.
Yeah, maybe that's my fault. I think we saw the schedule change. Somebody changed the schedule, I think, on Facebook, and that's probably where that came from. So I don't know. Well, certainly a tough night for you guys last week. Not the start that you guys wanted to get off to, but overall, you got a chance to watch film. You look back and what you saw. What was your impressions of last Friday night?
Well, the first thing offensively, we played terrible up front. We were not good up front with our offensive line and how we did things. You go back and watch film, we had chances to make plays at the quarterback position, at receivers positions, make a chance to make a play, and we didn't take advantage of it. And a lot of that goes back to our offensive line up front. We kind of got manhandled and whipped, and they just played hard. That's a tribute to Valencia getting after it. And defensively, I thought we played well enough to give us a chance to win. We got some big stops. We needed to forced 4 turnovers, and we were in position to make a play on every one of their touchdowns. We just didn't make the play, and that was our thing all week to our kids is you did everything right, now make the play. Reward yourself, and don't be afraid to fail. And I think that some of our kids now is they don't want to make the mistake to get us beat, but when they don't go and make the play, it ends up getting us beat anyway. So we're trying to get our kids' mindset just to be playmakers and have at it, and we've tinkered with some stuff offensively, try to get better for this week, but that was our downfall last week was up front offensive linemen. Our offensive line understood it, and they knew there was a big reason why we couldn't move the ball on Friday night.
Yeah. Certainly that seemed to be, Valencia got in the backfield very quickly in a lot of plays. Was it them not making the right moves or just not making the blocks they needed to?
It was both. We had some good stuff, and we break the first play for a first down, and it's a 12-yard run, and then they were creative in how they came with some stunt packages at us that we didn't see in the scrimmage film, and that's a tribute to them. But they played hard, and they got after it, and our kids went from playing aggressive to kind of being more reactionary up front to seeing what they were doing, and it's not how we need to play football.
Yeah. Something else, the read option just seemed to develop too slowly at times in the backfield. Was that something else that you saw?
Yeah, so we never got to our mesh point like we should have, and a lot of that was backs trying to cheat up to get there faster, linemen not being able to slow it down enough, and that's just an overall picture of what we did offensively, which was very, very poorly.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I thought the defense, they had a lot of negative plays. I want to say the count was at least plus around 10 that you guys forced negative plays for Valencia. That's got to be a bonus. And the defensive line was able to get back there. I think the biggest thing was you just couldn't catch up with their quarterback a lot of the time.
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's an athlete. He's a kid that was a quarterback last year that got hurt and didn't play a whole lot last year, but came back. They got a bunch of kids that were not in that program before that are now back in that program that kind of got ran off. And we played, like I said, we played well defensively. Defensive line, we had some big stops. We didn't force them to do a lot of things they didn't want to do, and they ended up just making the plays when they had to. We had a kid, Max Merrill, ended up with 6 tackles for a loss as a defensive tackle. I mean, he was almost unblockable the whole night. So there was a bunch of bright spots defensively, not as much offensively.
Yeah, and the DBs obviously get a couple of interceptions. You recover a fumble. And I thought the biggest thing was, especially on a couple of the jump ball plays, whether they just had size in your guys or just didn't take the right route to get there. But, overall there was a lot of positives, I think, from the secondary as well.
Yeah, and we didn't blow coverage. We were there every time to make a play. We just didn't make the play. And it's a tribute to Valencia. The kid, the quarterback, scrambled around, made some plays, made some throws under pressure. And their big kid, 87, Jaramillo, he's pretty dang good. I mean, he's a 6'4" kid that can move a little bit and get up. And it's a tough match for anybody in the state at the 5A level to have to try to match up and guard that kid and then still be able to attribute enough to take care of the other 10 guys on offense.
Yeah, he was looking like a number 87 out there for a little while. Looked like Gronkowski just with his size.
He's a big dude, and he got after it. And he's a kid that kind of beat us up last year, and I think got 3 touchdowns last year as a tight end, and they split him out now, and they just let him go get it, and he's good enough to do it, and he's going to be a tough match for a whole lot of people this year in 5A.
Yeah. Well, we head towards this week, and you certainly look at a tough matchup. You know, we know how good Los Lunas is going to be. They were good last year. When you compare them to last year's group to this year's group, is this a better team, about the same, you feel like?
It's pretty similar. They graduated a bunch of seniors last year. I think they replaced their entire offensive line. I think they have one returner. But they've got their quarterback back, Garland, and he's a dude. He's for real. He's a playmaker for them. And defensively, they're great big. They're very basic in what they want to do. They want to line up in front and get after you. They got 2 linebackers. One's named Diego Sanchez. He might be the best linebacker regardless of classification in this state. They're both for real and they're downhill players and create problems.
And I would certainly say the big thing, or the impression that came out of last year's game, is how you guys were physically outmatched last year. Do you feel like that's got to be a different story this year?
Yeah, that's a huge deal for us last year, and you can go back and see it, just the physical strength aspect of it. We were so outmanned in that aspect, and we think we've done enough this offseason, this program, to get up strength-wise to be able to match up with those guys this year. But we told our kids we got to turn it into a dogfight and see what happens, and just play hard and don't worry about mistakes. I think our kids put a lot of pressure on trying to get that first win, and don't want to do anything to put us in a doubt of getting that win, and we ended up making more mistakes. So we told our kids the wins are going to come. You keep doing what's right, showing up on time, practicing like we do. It's going to happen. You don't have to put pressure on it to happen, but we want to turn this into a dogfight and then just look up at the scoreboard after 4 quarters and see what it is.
Yeah. You mentioned tweaking some things. I mean, what can you mention, or you want to hold that off until Friday so it's not offensively what you guys are going to do?
We've kind of toyed with the offensive line and moved some guys around and tried to fill in some spots here and challenge kids. If you don't perform, there's going to be another kid that's going to have the opportunity to perform and get that chance. And we're doing some different things formation-wise, just trying to throw little wrinkles in there and make those guys have to adjust some stuff. But you're going to see on Friday, it's just what we normally do. We're going to line up in an I set with an up back. We're going to run lead. We're going to run power. We're going to run veer. We're going to throw the football. We're going to run bootleg. We're not going to change what we do, and we're not going to just sit there and say, scrap all this, let's reload it. No, we're going to do what we do, and we're going to get better at it. And we had a JV game on Saturday, and our kids lined up and ran lead down our teachers' throats for the first 2 quarters. I mean, that was impressive, and that was encouraging to see our kids get after. And we're not going to stray from the course of what we want for this football program.
Yeah. And at the quarterback position, we got to see both Braden and JP. Neither guy really got into any kind of rhythm, unfortunately. I mean, there were some good throws by JP. I thought Braden made some good runs for you, which is kind of what you expect. Braden is a little bit better runner. JP is a little bit better passer. What are you looking at the quarterback position?
The same thing. Braden will get started at first, and we'll see how it goes and see if we can get him into a rhythm. And if not, then we'll put JP in there right away and see if we can start throwing the football a little bit more or start running some RPO stuff. But the big deal was up front, if we could give our kids a chance and give them some time. When Braden's dropping back and he's only got about 2 seconds to figure it out, that's not ideal for us. And it just wasn't a very good execution on our part, and I got to take full responsibility for that. Our kids didn't line up and play offensively.
Yeah, and I thought there were probably 2 or 3 plays with JP in there where guys were running seams that if the receiver's there where they need to be on time, or if the throw's right there on time, you guys are probably busting that for a touchdown.
Yeah, we had, and you go back and look at the film, and you leave with the sour taste in your mouth after Friday night with the expectations we had, and you go back and watch the film, and we're pretty dang close to being able to hit these things if we're on time, or if we have enough time in the pocket, or if we throw the ball on time, or if our receivers run the right route. We have plays there that need to be made, and we didn't make them. And that's credit to Valencia, and that's just that's on us, and we got to find a way to get better at it.
Yeah, Los Lunas spread team as well, or
yeah, it's spread. You'll get them in the 2x2 sets. You'll get them in some trips and some empty stuff. They're going to throw the Artesia route, where they run the read option with the 2 slots and let them choose which route they're running. Quarterback's playmaker. We're going to try to be creative and see how we can get after them and and do some things, but he's a playmaker, and he's going to find a way to scramble around and make a throw down the field, and they got after P.A. Vista last week pretty well in doing that, and you can see how athletic that kid is. They ran a fake punt from their own 20 in the first quarter with that kid on 4th and 8. I mean, and he's running for 20 yards. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete, and our hands are full trying to be able to keep his butt in the pocket.
Yeah, and he's their normal punter, so that's not.
Yeah, that's not nothing new. That's just what he does. And like I said, they're playmakers, and they got a lot of confidence. They went to the semifinals last year, and they've got a good football program, and they're coached very well and top down, and they got a bunch of kids out. So it's exciting for us to come back into the stadium on Friday night and play, and get a chance to get in front of this hometown crowd, and hopefully we get it rocking and put on a show and make this an exciting 4 quarters.
Yeah, and I would think encouraging, again, you guys played well against the spread last week. I know the big plays were the things that hurt you all, but when you look at the positives that the defense had, there's enough of them in there where you feel like you guys can do something against the Los Lunas offense this week.
Yeah, we're not just sitting there backing down and saying, we'll just mark this one up and move on to next week. We're practicing. We had our best practice last night of the entire season so far, and that goes all the way back to August 6th. As we felt coming off the field yesterday, it was a great day. And at some point, it's going to get rewarded, and hopefully it's this Friday.
Yeah. And again, we want to encourage everybody to come out and see this group this year. Can't say enough about, I think Coach mentions it more than anything, is that the hard work that these guys are putting into it, and getting the hometown crowd to watch them for the first game of the year. What a big deal that would be for this group of kids.
Yeah, it's a huge deal to come back into a community that bleeds black and gold, and we can put 7,000 people in the stands to come watch these kids perform with all the hard work they've done from January till this point. And we're going to go see the elementary schools on Friday. We're going to go visit Oregon Heights, Oregon right now, and then we're working on trying to get to Buena Vista Friday morning, go do breakfast with the Tigers, and do our normal Friday deal and make this a fun event. We got a pep assembly going on, so we want to make this a happening place on Friday night, and there's nowhere else to be.
All right. Well, we're hoping for a good result on Friday, and we'll see you guys can do against a quality Los Lunas side. And best of luck coming up this week, Coach.
I appreciate it, Charles.
All right. That's Coach A.J. Cisco, and we'll take a break and come back. You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
There are no roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Tonight's forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms. In Alamogordo, expect a low of 70, Cloudcroft a low of 55. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, becoming partly cloudy with a 30% chance of rain, mainly in the afternoon. Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 93, low of 68, Cloudcroft, high of 80, low of 53.
What can Big O Tires do for you? They offer trained and certified ASC technicians, nationwide warranty protection, and state-of-the-art equipment. Services include oil, lube, and filter, batteries, brakes, and alignment. Big O strives to provide dependable and expert service at a great price, a wide range of diagnostic, maintenance, and repair services backed by one of the best national warranties. 621 North White Sands in Alamogordo, 1305 North Main Street in Roswell, and 26131 Highway 70 in Rodoso. Big O Tires.
What I remember most is the loneliness I felt, the separation from other people. At the end, drinking was no fun for me. Since I've started to attend AA meetings, the greatest gift is that I've become reconnected. I'm part of life again. I really like myself, and that's wonderful. AA is a miracle in my life. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works.
For the local AA hotline, call 430-9502. That's 430-9502.
Lose weight, be happier, get smarter, improve your memory, all by doing one thing. Sleep well. Tax time in 2018 is your chance to catch up on great sleep. Use your hard-earned tax refund to buy yourself the one thing that can make the biggest difference in your health, a new mattress to get better sleep. Sleep Well is here to help you find the right mattress for your needs. Back problems? Too heavy snoring? Sleep Well can help you. Sleep hot? Your partner toss and turn? No problem. Sleep Well can help. Corner of First and White Sands. Sleep Well. When you sleep well, you live well.
When you hear the term Outfitters of Champions, you know it's the Winner's Circle. They can do all your custom silk screen and embroidery on hats, shirts, and jackets. Whether it's for your business, team sales, special events, or personal use. The Winner's Circle is the place for quality work at reasonable prices with group and team discounts available. They also customize trophies, personalized plaques, and sporting gear. The Winner's Circle, 1201 10th Street, or give them a call at 437-9373.
If you and your family are looking for a new home, you don't have to look far for a home mortgage. As a community bank, we not only have great rates, we offer you friendly financial service right here in the neighborhood. There are a lot of options in real estate lending. We're here to see that you get a loan you can live with. Talk to us about your home mortgage. We're an equal housing lender. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
This is Brandon with Desert Sun. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Desert Sun Auto Group consists of 5 dealerships across the great state of New Mexico. This means we have 5 new car departments with over 500 vehicles to choose from and over 200 quality pre-owned vehicles. Majority of these vehicles, when bought from us, are backed with Desert Sun's lifetime powertrain protection. Stop by either Desert Sun Motors or Desert Sun Toyota today and let us help you find your new ride. See our full inventory at DesertSunMotors.com.
Selfless service is the guiding principle that drives Army National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster strikes. Every Army National Guard member serves not only to protect the nation, but also their local communities, so they each have a stake in the security and well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They are your next-door neighbors and your colleagues in schools, offices, and factories. Since the early days of our republic, the Army National Guard has continued its timeless commitment to guarantee peace and security for all Americans, a proud legacy which has endured for nearly 4 centuries. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. Selfless service, it's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area.
Sponsored by the New Mexico Army National Guard, aired by the New Mexico Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back to the show. I thought a lot of good information there from Coach Cisco as he kind of broke down last week's game. And, you know, I think the things that we talked about earlier in the week about offensive line having some troubles, not getting to it fast enough on the read option, defense doing a lot of good things, a lot of negative plays overall. And when I say negative, I mean forcing negative plays on the offensive side. That feels a little confusing when I say it that way, but and he's right, you know, and the other thing that he mentioned, that's something I didn't mention, was, you know, that the secondary didn't have, you know, blown coverages, that they had men in the spots, just, you know, didn't make the plays. And that's, you know, that's something I think that is a positive, that you're doing the right things, you're making the right decisions, but at the, you know, when it comes to, you know, the final part of the play, that you've got to be able to make the stop. You've got to get a deflection. You've got to get an interception. You got to do something to not let the other team make a big play. So they're going to have another, you know, elusive quarterback in Garland this week that, you know, probably, you know, the talent-wise is going to be better than what we saw last week with Lucero. And overall, Los Lunas is a better team. But I think defensively, Alamogordo should be encouraged and not be intimidated going into this week. They did a lot of good things last week. They've just got to build on that. And offensively, got to be better. You know, there's no doubt that they're going to, you know, to get points in the scoreboard, this is going to be a better Los Lunas team defensively than Valencia was. So, you know, we'll see. You know, here's the deal. Valencia may turn out to be a pretty solid program this year. I don't know. You know, last year, obviously, they beat Alamogordo by a pretty similar score and then went on to lose the rest of their games. So I don't know. And I feel like I hate to give that answer. But, you know, credit needs to be given how good Los Lunas is. They're going to be competing for a state title this year. And I think, you know, in the all honest for Alamogordo, it's about continuing to build the program for this group. So, you know, just trying to find the positives and get things going in the right direction. And, you know, I think he mentioned he's encouraged by, you know, some of the things that they're seeing with the JV side, some of the things they're seeing with the C team side. You know, obviously the next transition obviously is to making that, you know, work at the varsity end of things. And that is the toughest challenge of it all. You know, I can't tell you how many times we've seen really good JV and C teams across sports here at AHS, and the transition to varsity doesn't happen. it's difficult. And, you really got to, it's such a bigger step than I think any of us on the outside realize. And I think if you think that just because you have a good JV team, that your varsity team should be good, it just doesn't work that way. It's just a different level, and I like the things Coach Cisco's doing. And I think more than anything, I just like to see that group of kids get some results here in the next few games. I think that may be more than anything else is just getting the confidence up and getting a win and making that turn. Yeah, and I think we saw that with Coach Hooper in the previous run as well, in terms of you had a team that I want to say they went 1-9 his first year, and making that turn into a really good team the next year was. And I think they made it pretty quickly, but it's not an easy deal. So we'll see what we get, and hopefully just some confidence gain from last week in some spots, and maybe in some cases just got to kind of wash the slate clean and not worry about it. But all right, moving on from that. Again, we'll be live 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. If you can't be at the game on Friday night, you can listen here on 103.7. You can also listen in on the ESPN Alamogordo YouTube channel as well, and enjoy the game either way, whichever works for you. All right, what else we got for you guys? Anything else we need to mention? If you were with us at the top of the show, Alamogordo boys soccer, a 2-1 winner at Carlsbad last night. Julian Torres with a couple of goals, and Alamo's now 4-0 in the season. They will play Aztec on Friday morning in the first game of the Los Alamos tournament. Meanwhile, Alamogordo girls soccer, a 3-1 defeat last night. To Carlsbad. Sorry, guys, I had to sneeze. You're wondering that wasn't a dramatic pause. So they dropped 1-2 this season. Shauna Williams, by the way, had the goal last night for Alamogordo. Janae Shackley had the assist for the Lady Tigers, and they'll get Lovington on Thursday. Then the Las Cruces tournament on Friday and Saturday. Alamo Volleyball, a 4-sets winner over Chaparral. They're 2-0 this season. They'll get Valencia on Thursday, and then Santa Teresa coming up on Friday. Tularosa Volleyball, straight sets winner over Capitan. They'll go to Cloudcroft on Thursday. They're 2-0 this season. Mescalero Apache picked up a straight sets win over Dexter. They're 1-1 to begin their season. And I mentioned Cloudcroft on Thursday gets Tularosa. They'll be at the Eunice tournament coming up on Thursday and Friday. And anything else I need to mention? I think we're good. Alamogordo cross country coming up on Saturday. They'll be up in Capitan. Tularosa football. We'll head over to Socorro on Friday night. Cloudcroft's football is at home against Mission Achievement and Success. And Mescalero hits Hagerman coming up on Friday nights. The Cloudcroft game is Saturday afternoon. Hopefully I didn't just say Friday. Saturday afternoon. So, okay. And Coach also mentioned there, I had misspoke, that the C team is playing at Hot Springs today, so they're at TRC for their C team game today. Okay. What do we got for other headlines across the sports world? Aaron Rodgers gets a record extension with the Green Bay Packers. I'll tell you what, but the Packers' lack of going out there and actually making free agent signings, I feel like this feels pretty legit. It's a 4-year, $134 million extension that could be worth up to $180 million in total money. He's expected to sign the deal at some point on Wednesday, according to Adam Schefter. The deal will run through the 2023 season. That's when Rodgers will turn 40. That's something else that's worth pointing out with Rodgers is, I'll say it again, good thing he got that Super Bowl when he did. And he's also a guy that his injuries have certainly plagued his career a little bit. But there's been a lack of postseason success in a lot of cases, and I feel like Rodgers has also been in a place where he hasn't been surrounded with the best guys, especially offensively. Green Bay hasn't made the best free agent or drafting moves. So we'll see. He gives them a chance every year. At the end of the day, he gives them a chance. So you see how much better that team is when he's on the field. So back when Matt Ryan signed his extension back on May 3rd, that averaged $30 million per season. It cleared the way for the Packers to once again make Rodgers the highest paid player in the NFL. That came after Jimmy Garoppolo's deal for $27.5 million. Kirk Cousins got $28 million. So I think at the end of the day, it's just like $40 million for Rodgers. By the way, Rodgers will receive $67 million by the end of the 2018 calendar year, and an additional $13 million before March 17th, 2019. Yeehaw. $33.5 million is the annual average salary. My goodness. That's a lot of money. So, clearly Aaron's going to finish his career in Green Bay. We'll see if he can get them to another Super Bowl before that happens. But Rodgers is an interesting discussion, because of, if you're making comparisons in terms of best quarterbacks, you're making them against guys like Brady and Manning, and, both those guys have got, Brady's obviously got a ton of rings, Manning's got a couple. So you would think that, in terms of, getting Rodgers more into the discussion of, greatest of all time kind of quarterback, he's got to win one or two more championships. Which, again, also not also fair, because we talk about it a ton about championships are team accomplishments, not, individual accomplishments. But we just can't separate the two. That's never going to change. You can try, but at the end of the day, you're going to view championships as the ultimate. Records are nice, individual records, but the championships are going to be the way people are going to view somebody at the end of the day. But I'll tell you what, if I'm a Packers fan, I have no problem with them spending a ridiculous amount of money to keep Aaron Rodgers there. I feel like he's one of those guys that feels like he's worth every penny, mainly because as long as he's on the field, you have a chance, and when he's not on the field, you see the challenges that the Packers go through. And unfortunately, they've seen that too much in recent seasons of how, him not being out there. Yeah, and that will be a part of his legacy, I feel like, is inability to stay healthy in some cases, and that partially has to do with his style of play, but a lot of other things, I think, filter into all of that. So at the end of the day, and this is the thing I know a lot of people, that athletes shouldn't be getting paid that much money. Well, what's the market value? I mean, I'm not going to disagree that it's ridiculous that he's going to get almost $70 million before the end of the calendar year. I mean, that's just an incredible amount of money. But I don't know. I guess that's more on us. We've got to stop valuing sports so much. We don't want our athletes to get paid as much as they do. The money's there, and some. It's not like these owners are in the poorhouse because they're paying their athletes so much money. Now they may be putting us in the poorhouse because of how much they're charging for tickets, but that's probably not true either. If you want to go to an NFL game, it's not an affordable regular thing to go do. I'm not talking about Green Bay, because obviously it's hard to get tickets for Packers games, but for various reasons. But just going to any other NFL stadium, it's expensive. Going to an NHL game or an NBA game, go look at tickets, man. It's crazy. You want anything resembling a decent seat, and it's... Ugh. And there's even some college events that are becoming that way. Thank goodness TV has become... And radio. Wait. Thankfully, there's a lot of options to watch and listen, right? All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow right here on the Roundup. Y'all have a good one.
Hey, this is Stu Gotch. You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo, 103.7 Southern New Mexico sports leader, KNMZ Alamogordo.
Sports Center. I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers agrees to a record-breaking contract extension 4 years, $134 million, with half of that, $67 million, guaranteed by the end of this year. Schefter says this deal sets the new bar for quarterbacks.
There's the ceiling, but then again, over time, the cap goes up, the money goes up, prices go up, the contracts go up, so someone's going to pass Aaron Rodgers at some point in time.
Adam Schefter on the Stephen A.